Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we review
a red wine from Italy.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Aaron here, joined once again by the two best podcast hosts for a very specific comedy and wine review podcast, Joel and Colin. How are the two of you today?
Really good. Not even offended that you really narrowed down your criteria halfway through your intro there, but I'm cool with that. That's great.
I was going to say almost too specific to be a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Okay, thank you then.
All the podcast guys that I know that record wine-related content from 9 p.m. to 10:30 every Tuesday night, you two are the best.
Whose names rhyme with Broll and Schmallen.
Oh, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, that works out.
Joel, you do not have your usual background. What's going on, buddy?
I do not.
Yeah,
I do not.
You sound not great.
What's it? I sound not great. I know. I'm so sorry. I'll tell you this much. If this audio sounds bad, it's because I don't have my normal setup here. If it sounds good, it's because Colin spent like 4 hours editing to make my audio sound good. So either way, hope you can hear me. But yeah, I'm across the border up at our neighboring Canada, enjoying some time up there. Yes.
Man, very first international recording. Look at us.
Yeah. How about that?
Wow. That's a big show. That's a big deal, kind of.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
Way to go. And you're there.
International podcast.
You're there researching Canadian wine and scouring the northern part of our continent for diamonds in the rough, correct?
I am, yes. Yeah, the producers of the show said we have to expand a little bit. Let's get up there. Let's go to the hot new markets. They said New Jersey's already tapped. They said we got to expand a little bit. And so here I am up in Toronto. Actually, I'll tell you guys, apparently, I've heard this from multiple people, not just the Canadians that I've been talking to up here, but did you know that Niagara actually has a pretty growing and established wine, presence?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've
been looking for some Canadian Pinot Noir for a while now because they have a very cool climate. So it's similar in climate to, say, Burgundy, not necessarily meaning, the wines are going to be the same quality level or anything like that, but it's going to be at least similar in style and how ripe the grapes get and stuff like that. So I'd love to try some Canadian Pinot Noir, but it's nowhere that I found.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll get into it more when I talk about, this is my choice today of wine. I'll talk about it more, but I did look for a very long time to try to find some Canadian wine that was available where you guys are in New York and Florida. Not a darn thing, except for I think maybe there was an ice wine that was super expensive that was somewhat available.
It was so expensive.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I do have to say, this is a sign of the commitment to the pod. We have never missed a week. We've provided a new episode every single week since we started airing a year and a half ago. Joel was called for a last-minute work trip, and here we are recording internationally to keep it going. So thank you, Joel, for making it happen.
And thank you, Colin, for editing this.
You're welcome. I'll add some bass to that voice. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah. So, folks, we have a great show for you. We are going to be drinking a red wine from Italy, as we said at the top, that Joel is going to tell you more about in just a moment. We're going to learn a little bit about Chianti Classico. We are going to play a game of Pick Your Poison, and we're going to dig into this wine and see if it is worth it. So before we do anything else, Joel, what are we drinking today?
Yes, today we're drinking the Ruffino Riserva Ducale Chianti Riserva. This is from 2020, and this is 80% Sangiovese, 20% Merlot, also some Cabernet Sauvignon in there, and according to the Ruffino website, some complementary grapes, which I can only assume are grapes that just make you feel so good as you're drinking them. That's what I'm hoping for. So
good vibes. Good vibes in this glass.
That's exactly, yes. So obviously from Chianti, and this is a 14% ABV, and we picked this up we had to do some calculations, convert the Canadian dollars to the US dollars. In both locations, we paid the same amount. little over $21.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's just like
Yeah.
a cool thing.
Well, we're kind of wondering, like, yeah, is it going to be more expensive, less expensive? But what we do have to say, and, Joel, I'm sure you're going to get into this a little bit more, like finding a wine that we can all grab last minute that Colin can get down in Orlando, I can get in New Jersey, and Joel can get in Toronto was no easy feat.
Not.
And so, Joel, why did you, was there anything more than that, or we're at the mercy of international wine trade?
I've been really, really wanting to try this wine with you guys. No, this was the first thing after hours of looking at your guys' region in the Total Wine app and what I had around here that there was some crossover. I was trying to think about this too. I don't think that, maybe it's just where I am right now. I mean, I'm pretty much right in Toronto here, so I don't know why that would be the case, but we might be a little bit spoiled with the volume of wine that's available to us in the States. Sure. I don't know. Even, I walked into a couple of wine shops around where I am, and, they weren't big format wine shops, but all of the sections were extremely limited where I was. So all that to say, was very happy that we could all get our hands on this one, and seemed a little bit interesting. So and let us get back into the Chianti Reserva realm and learn a little bit about that again. So yeah, that's pretty much why.
No, and you know what? I think honestly, this was like kind of a blessing in disguise. Like I think this is going to be a cool one to dive into because Ruffino is one of those everywhere wines. I know that Ruffino's in supermarkets around me. It's at Total Wine. Like maybe not like the variety of Ruffino is in the supermarket. They have their ones that are on the shelf versus ones that you need to find more of a wine store. But like it's a very, very well known brand. So it'd be good to put it to the test. Also, thinking about the St. Giorgio from Familia Castellano that we love on the show, that runs about $17 to $19 for their Chianti Classico. This is a good test to see if there's another one in that price range that has similar quality, or if the St. Giorgio really is a really great deal at $4 less than this one.
Sure,
for sure. And we've actually had a Ruffino before. If you guys think back to the first ever grocery store wine showdown, I had actually brought the Ruffino Pinot Grigio to the show, which was actually the most decent wine. So I don't know if that is going to say anything about this wine, but we have tried the brand before forever ago. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare.
That will be interesting. It's funny too that you mentioned, obviously, having a Ruffino from the grocery store challenge, and Aaron, you mentioned, everybody knows it. When I walked into one of the wine shops around here, that label of the normal Chianti, like brought, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, of course, that's this one. Like this is everywhere. But we are drinking the Riserva Ducale today. This is the Chianti Classico. So be interesting to see the little bit, elevated version of this very, very widely available Sangiovese here. Let's see.
And I love Chianti Classico. I mean, Sangiovese is one of my favorite grapes. Chianti Classico is one of my favorite places to get that grape. I've never had a terrible wine out of Chianti Classico. I mean, I'm sure they make them. So hopefully this lives up to that standard.
And I'm sure you're going to get into it more in the learning segment, Colin, but we know like it's very limited what can be a Chianti Classico wine. So, if you got that very specific designation, you're one of not that many. So we'll see. But before we get into that, let's give it a first taste, a first smell, and see what we're dealing with here.
Now, I have just been eating poutine
like you do
all day. So my palate is absolutely wrecked. But let's see what we can do here.
That's hilarious.
Tastes like wine.
All right, Joel, why don't you start us off so Colin doesn't take all the good words? What are you getting on the nose?
So, I think right off the bat, young, fresh kind of red fruits, maybe a little bit of like a floralness in there. But yeah, a lot of, like to me, just really young, like a little cherry, little strawberry.
Don't hate that.
What do you got, Colin?
Yeah, I think Joel actually took all of the words this time.
Took all the good words.
The only thing I would add is I'm getting a little bit of earthiness in the form of mushrooms, and there's some oak influence on this wine as well. So you get a little bit of those baking spices in there on the nose.
Yeah, I got nothing to add for the nose. So let's take a sip and see what we got. I'm gonna jump in because I didn't have anything on the nose. I do really like the balance of this structure of the wine. Like it's a little bit tannic, but really not very tannic at all. It's a little bit there when it has, to me, a pretty consistent finish all the way through. It's not like too thin. It's not like super lingery. It's just a sip. You get what it's bringing, and then it goes away. What about you, Colin? What are you getting?
Yeah, definitely all those red fruits, really nice red fruits, and they're fresh, super fresh.
Yeah.
Definitely get a little bit of that earthiness more on the back end though. I think it's like post sip earthiness more than it is. It's really like fruit, and then you get some of that earthy mushroomness on the end. You also get some of that vanilla, a little bit of those baking spices. I really like the finish on this wine because after the sip, you just get like kind of red fruit for days. It's actually
Yeah.
a pretty nice finish for a $21 bottle of wine. I'm actually for the price shocked at the finish. So good start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about you, Joe?
The only other thing that I'll call out a little bit, first of all, totally like as advertised on everything that we called out, and totally agree with you guys. The only other thing I'll call out is like a little bit of maybe like a plum, but just a whisper of that. I know Cabernet Sauvignon was kind of the second most, or maybe was it Merlot that was the second most? I don't know. There's some amount of cab in there. I don't know if it's a little peak.
I think it specifies it's like 20% Merlot cab
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah. So, but that's the only other thing that's coming out. The rest is just like we're saying, super refreshing, super, fresh fruit.
I will say one thing that I want to call out is that we know this is a massively produced wine. And I'm not getting any of the artificial flavors or any of those like red flags that we have gotten when we've done some of the, Castillo del Diablo or some of the Carmen like that are super overproduced. And you're like, oh, there's some like oak artificialness or something else going on. This doesn't have any of that. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I think some of that has to do with the Reserva level too. In Chianti Classico at the Reserva level, you're going to find some more strict rules and regulations on how and what you can produce with your wine. So they try to build some quality in just based on how you're allowed to manufacture the wine in the region. So I think we might be seeing some of that here.
Well, you know what, Colin, you were just a brilliant segue artist because that sounds like a really good way to get us into the next segment. Can you teach us a little bit about Chianti Classico?
This is the only thing you will learn.
We are in the region of Tuscany, the subregion of Chianti, and the subregion of that, Chianti Classico. So we're going to talk a little bit about Chianti Classico and what makes it a Chianti Classico. So the Classico region is the historic region of Chianti. So this is where Chianti began. Chianti kind of had a quality crisis where a lot of the wine coming out of there just wasn't that great. So they created this Classico zone to build some rules and regulations around the wine to try to up that quality. So that's something to keep in mind when you see Chianti Classico on the label. It's a region built for quality. Cool little fact about Chianti Classico is every bottle is going to have a black rooster on the bottle. So for a fact, even without seeing Chianti Classico, if you see that black rooster, it's going to be from Chianti Classico. That doesn't really affect the wine or how you enjoy the wine or tasting the wine. Just a cool little fact I thought I'd throw in there. Another thing about Chianti Classico, it is Sangiovese-driven wine, as we mentioned. The wine from Chianti Classico has to be at least 80% Sangiovese. The remaining 20% can be some of those other grapes that Joel mentioned. There are some local Italian grapes. They have your international grapes, all very complementary to the Sangiovese. The aging categories, this is pretty interesting. I actually wasn't even terribly aware of this, but the Reserva actually comes with some aging standards, and there are 3 different aging categories in Chianti Classico. So you have the standard, which is aged at least 12 months. You have the Reserva, which is what we're drinking tonight, which is going to be aged at least 24 months. And then you have the Gran Selezione, which is going to be aged for 30 months. And then, finally, what you need to know about Chianti Classico. These are going to usually be elegant wines. They're known for their elegance, their balance, offering flavors of cherry, plum. Joel, you mentioned, great call. A little bit of floralness with violets,
Joel.
some earthy notes. Yeah, really, Joel killed
Nailed it.
the flavor profile. Some of those spices, and then usually you're going to see some really nice acid and some really nice tannin, because that's what Sangiovese brings to the table. And that is what to look out for when enjoying Chianti Classico.
So let me just make sure I recap and get the big thing. So
Break it down.
the larger region is Tuscany. You might get a super Tuscan, you might get a wine from Tuscany. If you see that on your bottle, like great, but it's a wine from that entire region. If you
Right.
go down farther and you get a Chianti, and it's just general Chianti, could be from anywhere in the region of Chianti. If you really want to hone in and make sure that you're getting like a quality wine from the region, you want to get a Chianti Classico, which is even a smaller region that has a stronger set of guidelines on what makes a wine a Chianti Classico within that region.
That's right. And there are also other regions in Chianti that are similar to Chianti Classico with the same idea in mind, where they have stricter rules on aging and production and grapes. So definitely a really interesting region to check out, because there's so much wine coming out of there. So a lot of fun stuff to explore over there.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Colin. I definitely think that this has been one of those pieces of information that when I talk to folks about wine and they bring up Chianti or Tuscany or Chianti Classico, there is a lot of curiosity of like, what the heck's the difference? So thank you. Like, that was super, super helpful.
I feel like Chianti is kind of like the pizza of the wine world, where it's like you kind of always know that a Chianti is going to be a certain way, and there's going to be some Chiantis that are like really, really good, and some that are just like, oh yeah, this is Chianti. But even a not that great Chianti is still enjoyable. You're still going to have a slice.
It's still pizza.
Like, you're still going to have, the subpar pizza. You're like, yeah, it's pizza.
Yeah, have you had that Chianti out of the bottle with the grass skirt?
No, I know
the classic
exactly what
ones.
you're talking about, but no.
Yeah, that's like pizza you'd find in a gutter.
Oh, geez. Hey, watch out.
There are exceptions, I suppose.
I'm sure. No, like Chianti Classico is like a New York slice, and Chianti with the paper wrapped around it, that's a Chicago slice.
Ooh, little big city pizza dig going on here.
It's not pizza, it's pie.
Wars.
Let's see.
Yeah, okay.
We have now offended Canadians, Chicagoans. What else? Who else can we get here?
People who like Chianti out of one of those, bottles with a rope wrapped around it.
Yeah,
Listen, I didn't say don't drink it. I just said
you just called it gutter pizza. Like, let's be clear.
It's not great. It's
not okay.
Great.
And that's 5 things you learned. All right. Well, that was fun, but let's have a little more fun. Let's play Pick Your Poison.
Pick your poison. Pick your poison. Pick your poison.
All right. So for folks who are new listeners, new to the show, Pick Your Poison is our Would You Rather game just based around wine. We're going to give 2 scenarios and you got to choose one. Sometimes it is like 2 really great scenarios and you got to pick. Sometimes it's like the worst, which one do you want to suffer? So Joel, Colin, would either of you like to start us off with a Pick Your Poison scenario today?
I'll start us off today.
Go for it, Joel.
I haven't started us off on this in a while. Okay. Here's my Pick Your Poison. You are cursed with the following affliction for the rest of your life. Okay. Either the first sip of every bottle of wine is amazing, but the rest is absolute trash to you, or the first half of every bottle of wine that you have for the rest of your life is awful, but the second half is amazing every single time. Pick your poison. So I guess, do you get that instant gratification, that first sip? You never have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the trash wine. Or are you going to commit to powering through half a bottle of crap wine to get to something?
I think purely when it comes to volume, I'd have to
Yeah.
just suffer through the first half because if I want a glass of wine, what am I going to do? Open
Right.
14 bottles of wine to get half a glass? So,
Or just
you
take the
know,
biggest sip of your life. It's like every time I open a bottle, I just
oh,
put a straw in and just continue to inhale until half the bottle's gone.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so you're
interesting.
just committing to just plugging your nose and just powering through every bottle of wine for the rest of your life. I think that's also hilarious that like you'll be the guy in your friend group that just pounds half a bottle of wine as soon as it hits the table every single time.
Guys, if you knew what I was going through, you understand why I do this.
You'd
No,
understand.
that being said, I absolutely would not pick that one. I would totally drink half a bottle of garbage wine and then get a really good. That's 100% what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
I was just looking for the
I think
loophole, but I'm a
the straw
raccoon
was
when
your
it comes to
loophole.
drinking
Yeah.
wine, man. It's all wine to me.
For the record, I'm with you guys. Yeah, I'll power through that crap bit to get to a little bit of enjoyment there.
For sure.
Right,
No,
Colin,
for
what do you
sure.
got for us?
Sure. All right. So these are both negative, but
Oh.
pick your poison.
Look at us today.
Are you going to be drinking a cheap wine that always stains your teeth or a pricey wine that you regret buying? So you're always, if you're drinking wine, you're either you're gonna have stained teeth or you spent a lot of money and it's just regrettable. But you have the
Like I already
cachet
have.
of buying a really nice bottle.
You say the
Is
last
the
part again?
cheap wine enjoyable?
I don't know. It depends upon the wine, I guess. I don't think that's neither here nor there.
I feel like all I drink is water, coffee, and wine. My teeth are
Fudged.
gonna have a little bit of a hue anyway. I'm going with the stained teeth. Let's do it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not wealthy, so the idea of spending money on wine that's going to make me sad infuriates me. So I guess I got to go with the stained teeth. I am super conscious of the shade of my teeth. I've never had like super white teeth, so this would be a nice excuse, I guess. Just be like, oh yeah, it's the wine that I'm cursed with forever. So it's not my brushing habits.
Yeah, I think I'm going stained teeth too, just like you said, just because of the price. Like I'd hate to constantly be buying expensive wine that I'm gonna regret buying. I mean, that just feels like a kick in the stomach every time you go buy a bottle of wine. So at least you might find a good one every once in a while that's cheap. Just have gross teeth.
I'm constantly going in and out of phases of doing like the Crest white strips and not just to keep a level of balance, to keep it like okay in there, you know? So I'm just going to have to just commit to it, I think.
That's right. Manageable. It's manageable.
Totally. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end this with some controversy. Really make you dig for it. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
Pick your poison. You can only have wine from Italy or you can only have wine from France.
I hate that question.
Good.
It's so unfair.
Good.
God.
I think I can answer this one.
Go for it, Joe.
You want me to go?
Yeah, jump in. Go ahead and piss off an entire country.
I think this is just purely based on like my preferences and what I've been enjoying drinking over the last year and a half of my life. If you would have asked me this a year ago, I had just gotten really into like Côte de Rhônes and had my first Chateauneuf de Pape, and I was all
French.
about La Vigne de France. And then I found Piedmont, and man, I think I dove even deeper into that world. I think, if you're asking me this right now, and it may change in 6 months, but I'm going to say Italy right now.
Look at you.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Go
tough.
ahead. Calm.
Because if you give up France, you're giving up Burgundy, Bordeaux, Loire Valley, the Rhone.
Loire.
But if you give up Italy, you're giving up Tuscany, Chianti, Brunello, all the fantastic white wine of the Northeast. So, God, that's so tough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hate to see.
I have to go with my heart, and my Italian ancestors are not going to be happy, but I'm going with France.
Wow.
I was sure you were going to pick France when I thought of this question. I was 100% sure. Mr. Sparkling Wine over there, I'm like, there's no way he's giving up champagne.
Champagne?
Oh, I did forget about champagne.
Champagne.
Right there.
I am going to go. I'm going to stick with Italy. I am going to make my Italian ancestors happy. I think there's just a lot of Italy that we're still exploring, and every time we find something, it's really, really good. I know there's a lot of good out of France. I love everything we've gotten out of France so far, but if I had to pick one over the other, I'm going to pick the boot. So, and give France the boot. Ha.
Oh, look at you.
Oh.
God. Name of
So-
this episode, Dad Joke City.
Dad Joke City.
So that's you acknowledged up front that was going to be a controversial and completely unfair question, and it
100%.
absolutely was.
100%.
However, here's what I would like for you to do. Go into your phone, set a little alarm every 6 months.
See if we're still
I want
there.
you to ask us that question, and I want to keep track. You can switch up the countries if you want, but let's include France and Italy every time too. I want to talk about this because I think it'll be interesting to see as we explore, how our tastes are changing and where we land on that.
I think we have to find some more like Italian regions too, because like I'm going through my brain right now and I'm like, oh, we did Alsace, we did Loire, we did some Cremant, we did Champagne. I would say we've done so many French regions,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we've done Chianti twice, and we did a white from
We've done a Piedmont.
Yeah, Friuli. We've done the Piedmont.
Yeah, so we've started to dabble with some Italian kind of off the beaten trail, and I think we should dive more into Italy, because I think there's a lot there that we haven't touched yet.
Let's go.
I would agree with that 100%.
Let's do it.
To Italy.
And I love it.
After the new
I
year.
love Italian wine, which is why it
Yeah.
hurts me so much only drinking French wine.
This is one of those questions in this extremely thought-provoking and important game that we play. It's one where I'm going to leave this, and I say to myself, I'm so glad we don't live in a world where we have to choose only
That's
one
true.
country or region. Keep the wines a-flowing.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing.
I love that. I love that. Cool. All right. Well, we learned some things. We played some games. Let's dig back into this wine. It's now been open for about an hour, so we've really had a chance to air this wine out. Let's see if anything new is bubbling up. Anything new on the nose, gentlemen? You can just jump in.
I wouldn't say new, but I will say it's really come together. I would say this is a wine that's not afraid of a little bit of air. I think all of the structural components along with the fruit components have harmonized a little bit, because before you were kind of getting the fruit flavors and then you're kind of getting the structure, but now it's one really nicely composed sip. So I don't know if I'm getting any new flavors, but definitely one you want to decant for a little bit.
Definitely. The thing that I'll just call out is that it's showing really, really nicely now. It was always kind of there, and it was almost, to your point too, I'm just going to kind of reiterate what you just said, but it was kind of like there was the fruitiness and then the earthiness there as well. And now I feel like the earthiness has risen up to the fruitiness level to find a nice balance. But that's the piece that has changed so much to me, is that's what's risen up a little bit in the profile here.
I'm right there with you guys. Like I'm just like very pleasantly surprised. I feel like the aroma has opened up quite a bit. The structure is just like really balanced and really enjoyable. This is a 14% alcohol wine, and I'm not getting the super burny alcohol. Like it's there, but it's part of the structure for like a big brand that you can find in a lot of places. This is a solid glass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I'll just add, just in general with Sangiovese, you're gonna want to decant it. It's usually big tannin, a lot of acid, so the grape in general is not afraid of a little bit of air. So feel free to let this one sit out at any level. Really, Chianti is Sangiovese is a decanting grape for sure.
Well, excellent. Let's get into the review.
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
All right, guys, we gave it a try. We learned some stuff. We played some games. We tried it again. We gave it about an hour to air out, to like really expand. How are we feeling? Joel, this was your wine, so you can go last. Colin, would you like to kick it off, or you want me to go first?
Sure. No, I'll go first. I don't mind.
Go for it.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw this was a Ruffino wine, I was a little skeptical, only because Ruffino is one of those brands. It's a grocery store wine in general. You see them everywhere, but I will say I am pleasantly surprised by this wine. It's super tasty. I'm really enjoying it. I think there's enough flavors there. I think you get some of those primary flavors with the fruit, some of those secondary flavors with that oak influence, which I think is really nice. So, I'm enjoying the sip, and I'm putting this one on the kitchen table. I think this is an easy kitchen table one and an absolute must share. If you can find this, and if you're in a pinch, say, and they do have this in a grocery store, buy this because this is totally worth it. Even at $21, I don't mind
Yeah.
paying $21 for this. I think the value is,
Mhm.
a home run at $21. So must share kitchen table wine for me, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Colin. Like, I got people coming over tomorrow. I have half a bottle of this left right now. Who knows how much will be left in 30 minutes? But, if it's still there, I'll be excited to, like, bring it out for folks. Yeah, I actually, what I want to do is we're so excited about the Chianti Classico from St. Giorgio, and has stayed, I think, in at least one wine fridge.
Still in mind.
I would love to get them next to each other. Maybe that'd be a future episode. We put this and that next to it because they're very similar price point. I have to imagine the Family Cassiano, St. Giorgio is probably also another very large producer. So I would love to actually get them one for one next to each other and really see where they're at, because this is surprisingly, a really pleasant drinker. So I'm right there with you. Kitchen table will definitely be a wine I grab in the future when I just want to, bring something to share with others. Definitely a must share. Joel, how you feeling about your pick? Your last minute Canadian, just like throwing darts at the wall. How you feeling?
Relieved is how I'm
Yeah, that's
feeling,
fair.
because this was a pick out of necessity, to be completely honest with you, and probably one that, just based off of the name, maybe, I wouldn't have suggested before. And I think this was a nice little stroke of luck that we came across this one and gave this one a chance, because I'm right there with you guys. Kitchen table, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to Ruffino for making a nice bottle here. I do want to just go ahead and call out. I'm going to go ahead and show the label on here. I mean, this is
I like
obviously
the
a little
label.
bit of a elevated Ruffino. Again, this is the Riserva Ducale Chianti Classico here. So, definitely the elevated version from Ruffino. But yeah, just really nice, really enjoyable, and love the fact that it's, still affordable, and, as we've proven, still accessible. So yeah, kitchen table, happily.
All right, folks. There you have it. Joel, well done, man. Just
you.
emergency wine success. Clearly not a waste of your wine.
Also,
$21 to $22.
I'm flying home tomorrow, and I don't think that I can carry a half-consumed bottle of wine through the security.
I'll stay
I
on
feel
with
like you
you
only
for a
have
little
one
bit
option.
to do what you got to do, Joel.
Okay, I think I
For
got a
you.
little bit of a night ahead of me here.
For the pod. I'll give you 30 minutes. No, clearly not a waste of your wine. $21 to $22. Good grab. A solid example of Chianti Classico, at least in that price range. If you want to grab a bottle, bring it over a friend's place, or you want to try Chianti Classico and you don't want to spend a bajillion dollars, give this one a try. Let us know what you think. Colin, if people do want to let us know what they think, where can they reach out to us?
Sure. Instagram, stop wasting your wine, number 1. YouTube, stop wasting your wine, number 2. Stopwastingyourwine.com, number 3. Boom. That's it. If you're on any of those, like, follow, subscribe, shoot us a review. We'd love to get some more reviews. If you like what's going on, we'd really appreciate it. Other than that, just stop by, say hi. Let us know how you're doing. If you've tried the wine, let us know how you like the wine. We'd love to get your feedback on it.
Yeah. Also, we're on the TikToks, we're on the Threads, and we're on the Blue Skies now.
Blue Sky.
As like the kid, we're the Blue Skies, like all the trendy folk, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the brave new world of social media over there, and we're in it.
But yeah, that's it. We're in the holiday season, folks. If you're like me, your Christmas lights are already up. I hope you're having just a look, man. I got to put the Christmas. You guys don't have this problem in Florida. It was 60 degrees the other day. I'm putting the Christmas lights up because a week from now it could be 30, and I don't want to be on my roof when things are frozen. So
That's fair.
I also don't really do Christmas lights. I have one big thing of lights for my bushes, and then I have one of those spinny lights that I stick in the ground that projects on the house, and that's Christmas.
I will post a picture of my house. Christmas throws up on my house, and every year we add one more elaborate thing. Last year was, the light up reindeer. The vote for this year so far is a full Santa that will sit on our roof. We'll see.
You're not going to add a deflatable?
Oh, yes, it's deflatable. It's so cute that he calls it that. But yes, one of my neighbors walked by today and saw that we were standing in the door and yelled, "I brought my sunglasses with me so we could walk by your house." So that's where we are.
Wow.
Yeah. But all right, folks, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week when it is probably more appropriate to put up Christmas lights. You know it. But until then, Joel.
Yes.
Do the thing.
Say the thing.
What thing?
Your line. The line you say every
Time to
week.
Make the donuts. Is that not?
That's not even a line that people know anymore. We shouldn't even know that. We were 2 when that.
Oh, the best a man can get. Stop wasting your wine.
He's it.
Stop wasting your wine. Be all that you can be.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
And remember, stop wasting your wine. Is that the one?
That's it. You did great.
I would hesitate to call that great.